Welcome to the Digital Marketing Mentor. I'm your host, Danny Gavin, and together with industry leaders and marketing experts, we'll explore the meeting point of mentorship and marketing. We'll discover how these connections have affected careers, marketing strategies, and lives. Now get ready to get human. Hello, everyone. I'm Danny Gavin, founder of Optage, marketing professor, and the host of the Digital Marketing Mentor. Today, I'm super excited to have Emily Ryan here. She's the co-founder of Westfield Creative, a full-service MailChimp email marketing agency. She helps awesome brands send beautiful emails. She's also sort of a MailChimp influencer, if you've been following her. She's a MailChimp Pro partner and MailChimp certified, and really everything MailChimp. I met Emily either on Twitter or through the MailChimp partner community, and she is just amazing, both as a mom, as working with her clients, and then just helping MailChimp in general. She also has writing featured in Entrepreneur and the MailChimp blog. And today we're going to talk about mentorship and email marketing. How are you, Emily?
Yay! I'm great. And oh my gosh, what a nice intro. The MailChimp influencer thing, that is hilarious. And I'll take it. I'll be a MailChimp influencer.
You know, that's how I view you. But obviously you're more than that. But it's cool. Like, I want to be a MailChimp influencer.
Yeah,
how do I become one?
I didn't know that was a thing, but I will. Yes, I'm going with it.
All right. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about, where you went to school and what you studied.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, I was a singer and dancer in my past life. I studied musical theater. I grew up performing from a very young age. And shockingly, a lot of people in marketing are like former theater people. I have met so many. Like, I don't know if you know Val Geisler. She's like this email guru. She and I went to school together. She was a stage manager. But I went to a very serious musical theater school and got my BFA in theater, which is crazy. And then I moved to New York City right after college to pursue, I wanted to be on Broadway. So that's what I studied in school.
How was your experience in New York? Were you able to get into Broadway?
Yeah. So I had done theater since I was about 7 years old, got to New York and, we had a showcase, we got agents, stuff like that, which is kind of essential. You have to have an agent, and started going to auditions right away. And I was like, wow, this is hard because you go to school for it and maybe you're in the top in your school, but then you get to New York and everyone is the top from the top schools. So you go into a room with 15 other girls who are incredible singers, who have Broadway credits, who look like you. And you're like, well, this is not fun. So it really becomes a business instead of like a passion. And then you realize you're in New York and you have to pay the rent. So you're like, okay, well, the only thing I can do is wait tables if I want to audition during the day. So I was waiting tables for a long time, and I would get really close to a lot of like big Broadway roles. I almost got Mamma Mia on Broadway, almost. I was down to like me and this other girl, like 7 auditions. And I went in for Les Mis. I would go in for all these shows, and it was just really hard. So I kind of gave up very quickly and got a quote real job with. Crazy enough, I became a nanny and then became an executive assistant. I don't know how I got the job, but I started working with this hedge fund as an executive assistant. And I really loved getting a paycheck. I was like, this is really fun. Like every 2 weeks you get a paycheck and you get benefits. And like, benefits? What? I had been waiting tables all these years. I really left the business pretty early, unfortunately. Like, I don't think I gave it my best shot, and a lot of my friends, my good friend was up for a Tony Award, like on Sunday, like from my class at school, she was up for a Tony Award. I'm like, I should have stuck with it longer maybe. But I believe I was, I wasn't, I think this was my path. So took me a long time to get to doing what I love right now at 40 years old. Yeah, I had to go through that journey.
I imagine that creativity was a big part of who you are, and you couldn't necessarily do it on a stage and singing, but you're able to channel it in other ways, as we're going to uncover today.
Yes.
I know one of the other early jobs, you designed and created your own line of stationery and greeting cards.
Look at you. Yes. Yeah. So I've always been like this creative person. I went to a performing arts school from 6th through 12th grade, just around creative people my whole life. But yeah, when I was in New York, I was just always looking for that side hustle, and I've been very good at with computers since I was really young. So I was like, oh, I can make a card and sell it and get it printed, and so I went hard with that business, and I went to like the National Stationery Show, and my cards were in a couple stores, but again, that was very hard because paper is expensive and it's very hard to make money that way.
Blast from the past.
Yeah.
So looking back at performing arts, whether it's in high school or college, and like you look where you are today, are there certain things, inside or outside of the classroom that you feel like you picked up that, those skills that help you today?
It's crazy. And that's why I always say like a lot of marketing people were from theater, because I think it's a lot from that world translates to marketing. I could probably write 10 reasons why my background in theater helped me as a marketer. Even with stuff like this, like sometimes I'll do like a webinar or speaking thing, and I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm performing again. Like I love it because it's kind of like full circle. I'm getting to perform a little bit. But yeah, just in terms of marketing, you have to not worry so much about what people think of you, and you have to be creative. I mean, there's so much creativity in marketing, and I think that's why I've always been drawn to it, especially with email, because email design it's very technical, but it's like theater. It's very technical, but it's also creative.
I think I'm gonna never look at you the same way, because when I see you in Twitter, I'm gonna feel like each tweet is a performance.
Yes. And honestly, it probably is.
And a little bit, right? Just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely feels like a past life. I stopped performing when I was like, 20, 21, 22. So it's been a long time.
But what about around the house? Do you sing? Like how?
I love Broadway. And, it actually took me a long time to kind of love it again, because I was very burnt out from the business. But yeah, I have a piano, and my first love was like sitting at the piano playing and singing. So I love to do that. Yeah, I sing all the time. I annoy my kids like crazy.
I love it. All right, so let's switch a little bit, and we're going to get into mentorship. So Emily, How would you define a mentor?
I think it's a person that helps guide you and helps, it's like a person that is there when you need the support. I don't think my email agency and my business could be where it is without, a handful of people that I've been able to turn to when I have questions, or when I'm just like need to vent, or, stuck on a client situation. It is like that person that you feel comfortable that you can turn to, and gives you advice, is maybe a few years ahead of you. Yeah, it's so essential to have someone like that, as you're building a business.
Let's talk a little bit about the agency owners from the MailChimp partner community. Do they share advice? How are they mentors to you? What do you appreciate about them?
Yeah, so the MailChimp partner, I'm a MailChimp partner, and there is this amazing community of other MailChimp partners and experts from literally all over the entire world. I don't even know how I've been able to connect with so many of these people. Many of them I've never met in person, but we do have the Slack community. It has been a literal game changer for my business. There are several agency owners that have been doing email for like 20 years, 25 years. And they're like, oh, Emily, you got to charge more, or you can't do that. You got to charge a late fee. And like everyone is just so open with advice and support. And I have found that community to be so incredibly helpful to me over the years. And I think it's probably my favorite perk about being a MailChimp partner, is having access to, because it's a very niche thing, like MailChimp, email marketing, email agency. To have these other people that are doing the same thing and that just get it, it's very hard to find.
And that they're willing to share with you, right? Because technically, I mean, we know that this is a big space, but still, like, especially when it's so niche, like MailChimp email marketing, you could imagine to be competitive and people wouldn't want to share with you.
So I have always been an open book. Like, I have shared my contract with so many other women that are just starting, like, hey, here's my template for my contract. Like, take it, go, do whatever. I've shared my pricing guide. I had another MailChimp partner this morning Slack me and say, hey, do you have like a bunch of landing page examples that you've done? Because I'm like stuck on this. And I sent her I'm like, here's like 10 links to landing pages. Because the more I can help others, it really does come back. It comes back to you. That being said, like there are often those cases where you share and it can come back to hurt you. And that has happened to me only a couple of times where someone like took something and, shouldn't have, maybe shouldn't have called it their own. But I find that to be very rare.
So let's jump into how you mentor others. So you've already touched upon a little bit about, mentoring other women that are coming up. But, you've mentioned, you love helping other moms, being able to make money from home. Talk about that, like that passion and how you actually help these women.
I never thought I could have a business of my own from home, making a good living. So whenever I see another, specifically moms, because I get what it's like. You want to be home with your little baby that you just had. And that was really the reason I started my business, because I had a 6-month-old and I was going into work my job for like 10 hours a day. And I had a babysitter with my child like all day. And I would get home and have an hour with my son. I was like, this is awful. This is horrible. This is not good. So when I see other moms that are like, I'm so miserable in my job, and I've been blown away with how many women are in this situation. Like I get so many DMs on Instagram that are like, any ideas how I can start doing like similar to what you're doing? To the point where I'm like, should I make a course? Because, it's just so possible. Like if you have any skills on a computer, you can easily start a business from home and make substantial income. And the key is, the reason I love moms is because they want it bad enough. Like if you want to have a business from home, you have to want it bad. You can't just be like, oh, I want to try it like this side hustle. Like you have to want to get up and make money each day. And yeah, over the years, there's been quite a handful of women who come to me and I say, you know what, like, I'm happy to send you like, if we get any leads that aren't a good fit, I'll send you a lead and I can help walk you through the first steps of like, what do you send them? You send a contract, you send the estimate, the intro call. Like if you want me to sit in with you on it, like because nothing brings me more joy than seeing another woman be able to work from home and have flexibility. Like there's nothing better than that. That's why I get super passionate about it.
No, I agree. And although I'm not a woman, but I don't know if you knew, but I have a course. It's a digital marketing fundamentals course. And I have a special track for women only, actually.
Whoa.
And yeah, so I get to see a lot of women and introduce them to the world of digital marketing so that they can do the exact same thing.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, it's something I'm actually really passionate about. And I'm really proud that I've helped a couple women become like MailChimp partners and like really push them like, okay, you just need like 3 more accounts to connect and then you're a partner. I just love seeing other women be able to make their own money. It's like the best feeling.
Are there any specific routines or strategies you utilize to help facilitate a mentoring relationship? Like, do you have any women specifically who are like, we're going to talk every week, or is it pretty much just more ad hoc?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I've never had that like official, you're the mentee. And I've never had that very formal relationship, but I have had women that say, hey, would you mind mentoring me like through this? And so it's definitely more ad hoc. For many of the women, I'm like, listen, email me, email me anytime. If you want to hop on Zoom, you have a question, like let's hop on for 15 minutes. So it is kind of very informal. But I love letting other women know, like I'm here because so many people did that for me. Like I'm here if you have any questions, like, and that's the best feeling to know that someone's there if you run into trouble.
All right, so let's move into your area of expertise, email marketing. So I know you just touched upon that the reason why you kind of switched to your own business was because of having, your children. And I know you've done a decent amount of work as an executive assistant. Why specifically led you to make the transition to email marketing in particular?
Yes. So, I had been working these more corporate jobs in New York for many years. Most of them were assistant type jobs, which really bothered me having that title assistant. Like at one point in my last year in New York, I finally said to my boss, can I just like have any other title besides I was program assistant, executive assistant, personal assistant. I'm like, can I not assist anymore? So I was like, I became program manager. But yeah, so I had done that for many years. And then finally we left New York after we had the baby and moved out west. And I did not want to go back to an office job. We were living in this mountain town in Lake Tahoe. I was like, I can't imagine having to go with now we have this, almost 1-year-old baby. I have to find a way to work from home. I have to figure it out. And I was still working for my company in New York. And then actually Val Geisler, who's another email person, she said to me, well, why don't you look into being a virtual assistant? And I was like, what is that? Like, this was in 2015. I was like, what is this? And of course it was an assistant thing. I was like, okay, I think I could easily do this, be an assistant from home. And so I was like, I have to figure this out so that I never have to go into an office ever again. Like, I'm going to throw my work clothes, my trousers, I'm going to throw them out the window so I never have to do it. So I posted in some group in Facebook, some business group. I was like, hey, like, I'm a virtual assistant and I can help you with this and this. And I got my first client from that Facebook post in some group. And from there, like, it kind of started snowballing. Like, she referred me to someone else and someone else. And all these clients that I was being a virtual assistant for, they all were doing MailChimp emails, MailChimp newsletters. I had a graphic designer, I had a nonprofit. So I ended up always working on these MailChimp newsletters. And I was sort of familiar with MailChimp from my company in New York. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like, everyone's using MailChimp. So I started focusing more on that. And my clients actually would turn to me for just MailChimp work. So slowly over time, I said, okay, we're dropping the assistant. We're doing email. And I became obsessed with email. And I started like learning everything I could. And I would like stay up late, like listening to, podcasts and reading articles and just learning everything I could. And like, I would study my inbox, like, and I still do. I like, ooh, who's using which emoji? And like, I literally would study my inbox. And I started posting a lot on social about email. And that's when the MailChimp partner community kind of reached out to me because they had seen an Instagram post. After that, it was history. It was like, once I became a partner, it kind of took off, and which is crazy. So that's your really long answer to that question.
I love that story. It's a journey and it's so true.
Yeah.
And think about it. You had the guts to go into that Facebook group and just randomly post, I'm a VA, not even sure exactly what that was. And it literally like changed your trajectory. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I had made a little website. And so my strategy was I was going to post about, hey, can you guys check out my website and let me know any feedback? Like,
smart.
It's a virtual assistant. And so people went to the website and then they're like, oh, I actually need help. And I didn't even have a contract template then. I was like, I'm going to figure this out real quick. So I had to get like an accounting program but it was so easy. Like, it was just so easy to start. Like, once you got that first client, I was like, okay, this is kind of amazing. I wasn't charging very much in the beginning at all, but it's like, this is crazy because I'm kind of doing what I know and what I'm good at. And like, people are paying me. Like, this is crazy.
Do you have any particularly fun or interesting email marketing stories from before you were officially the email marketer that perhaps helped give you that spark to make it your focus?
So one of my early clients, and I don't know how this guy found me, but he made a product for pigeon control, like birds that are getting out of hand for your, like, say you have an industrial thing and pigeons are getting inside the whatever. It was called pigeon birth control. And I am not kidding you. I was doing emails for this guy and I was like, what in the world? This is crazy. But also kind of amazing that like, here I am, like 1 minute I'm building an email for, say, an e-commerce, beverage company, and then a pigeon birth control product and, a hardware store and a coffee shop. And it's like, I love that it's so creative because it's such a wide range. Email serves every single business.
So you do a lot of work in email marketing, obviously, but you also work plenty on social media. What do you wish each had that the other does? So, for example, what do you wish email marketing had that social does? And what do you think social had that email does? I know it's a kind of an insightful question, but would love to hear your
Ooh,
perspective.
that is interesting and an interesting way to turn it because we're always comparing the two and we're always saying, okay, well, email's more important because you own your list and social you don't own your list. So we're always comparing the two. I love social media. I love Instagram. It is for me, Instagram stories specifically has always been a very creative, like a creative outlet. It's easy. Like I can pop on my phone, post some crazy photo, put some filters on it, and it's just so easy and quick. And email is not always that easy. Like you have to log in, you have to, really format your images and size things correctly. And like it's email is just so much more technical. An email can render I keep forgetting the number, but like thousands of different ways in different inboxes. And it makes it very hard. Like you'll create this gorgeous email and it won't look right in Outlook. Whereas social, it's just like, okay, I just thought of something I want to tweet, send, and you're done. But then again, social, I've had a few instances where Instagram went down and I'm like, okay, if Instagram went down or left tomorrow, I would never be able to reach any of those people ever again. I don't have these people's emails that follow me on Instagram. I mean, my friends I do, but I don't have any of these people's emails. I could never reach them again. So I think there are definite pros and cons, and they're both so needed in marketing. I mean, I think they're both equally needed.
I think people underestimate how reliant we are on platforms that could just disappear in a moment. We're going through that now with Google Analytics and Google Analytics 4 and old data, and obviously there's the old situation where Facebook, where to, push your messages out to people didn't cost anything. So, but I think we get stuck, right? It's like, ooh, this beautiful platform and it's all shiny and great, but then we don't realize that we don't own it. So I think that's, like you said, one of the huge values when it comes to email marketing.
But that being said, if the server goes down, which it does from time to time, make sure you export a copy of your list. So many people don't have a copy. I'm like, go in today to your list, all of your lists, if you have several, and please export the CSV and have a copy of your list. It is worth so much money. So yeah, go do that.
Often it can feel like the video killed the radio star. How do you convince people there's still so much value in email marketing and building a mailing list?
What I say is like, have you been in your email today? Have you been in Gmail? Yes. I guarantee most of us have our Gmail tab open or have or check our email every single day. I think there's this great analogy someone said about, going into someone's inbox is like going into their living room. It's like a personal place that you get to go into. So that is super powerful, as long as you don't end up in spam. So, it is mind blowing what you can do with a great email list. And I've heard so many entrepreneurs, these super successful women that are, making so much money. And they all say, it's my email list that has made me the most money, that has sold my courses. So I am a big fan of investing in growing your list with, quality subscribers and never buying emails, but really investing, doing something every week that could grow your list. There are 100 ways that you could go and work on doing that. Just this week, another MailChimp partner had me write a guest post, Simon Harper, on his email. And he said, I got some new subscribers and I got some new subscribers from him. And so that was like a cool way to kind of work on a slow way of growing your list, but it works.
So with that like emotional or like deep touch, like you said, going to someone's living room, how do you feel about SMS? I know that MailChimp doesn't necessarily have an SMS feature right now, but there's a lot of platforms out there that are adding it or have it. Are you incorporating it all with your clients or thinking about that?
So the exciting news is that SMS is coming to MailChimp very, very soon, and it's going to be amazing. I have actually tested it out, and it's really, really good. And it's just so easy. So it'll be cool. With SMS, I say, okay, do I personally ever buy anything when I get a text? I definitely look at them. I'm on Chipotle's SMS and they'll send some coupons and I definitely look at them. I don't know much about how SMS converts, but I would say it can definitely work. And it's a channel that I think many businesses are looking into. And there's a lot of stuff that goes along with it, like there's some serious compliance stuff. Like you really have to get people to opt into SMS. Like they have to opt in. And you want to be really careful how many texts you're sending. You only want to send like 3 or 4 a month, I hear, not many. We're on our phones just like we're on our emails. I would think it would have to be effective.
But it sounds like you are going to dabble in it a little bit.
I have a few clients doing SMS, not with MailChimp, but I do have a few clients doing it. I don't run the SMS, but yeah, I mean, I think it has to be a channel that brings in some revenue for many clients, especially like e-commerce.
Yeah, and I think the cool part about adding it to the platform is that at least you can get the data in one spot, right? If you do like a welcome series, you could have your email welcome series, your SMS welcome series kind of in one spot and just get a better overall picture.
From a marketer standpoint, like the times I've done SMS, it's so easy. Like you are literally creating a short text and putting a link. It's easy. So if that's a service that we can all add and charge good money for, and it's really easy, then I'm all for it.
And because you're kind of a Twitter queen, it's very easy for you because you know how to do it in short spaces.
It's literally a tweet. SMS is literally a tweet.
Exactly. So being that you're the creative at Westfield, have there been any particular fun, funny, cute graphics that you've helped with over the years that you can remember?
Doing email, I feel like so much of email is graphic design. Obviously there are plain text emails, but I would say 95% of the emails we do are HTML graphic emails. So we use Canva. I mean, my sister uses Adobe for a lot, but we also use Canva a ton. And, we do a lot of GIFs now, like a lot of animated images, which are super fun. One fun one we just did was for a kids tennis academy. And she's like, oh, can we incorporate like a tennis ball somewhere? So we did this really awesome gift where the ball, like instead of a divider line, the ball just kind of bounces up across the divider. And it's actually a really long GIF that we had to create from scratch, but really fun. That was really fun. And then we also did, one of our clients was Orangina, the like sparkling beverage brand. Really cool client, but we did some really beautiful, like bubbly graphics. Like we had a girl in a like an inner tube for summer, like drinking, and she was like, it was like turning, and that was like created not in Canva, that was like created from scratch by my sister. I think on our website too, there's a like example section, and I think some of those are up there.
Cool. Well, we'll definitely drop a link in the show notes. Much like any artist, it can be very easy not to know when to put the paintbrush down and stop making changes. How do you know when to stop adding or tweaking visual elements and more in an email?
We manage quite a few clients. So we actually have very serious boundaries. Like, okay, you're allowed 2 rounds of revisions simply because we don't have the time to keep making a million changes. I am actually not a perfectionist. I'm like, all right, this is good and this is good enough. I am under the philosophy of this is just an email, honestly. If it tests great, if it looks great, if I want people to click on a button, like it's just an email. So I'm pretty good about putting my paintbrush down. I think there are times when you just have to step back and say, hey, this is literally an email. Why are we spending a month on this newsletter? Like, this is ridiculous. I think the average is 9 seconds. 9 seconds reading an email. That's the average. You got to know people aren't spending an hour scrolling through your newsletter, reading every single little thing. Yeah.
I worked back in the day, some big corporations, and literally like that email, it went through like 5 different people approving. It was just, when you thought about it, it was just crazy. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, I can't. I'm like, we're just changing to change. And I hate that.
Is there a particular targeting, timing, or strategic email marketing feature that you think tends to be undervalued or underrated?
There are so many underrated features. A/B testing, I think, is one of them. I'm always blown away that people aren't A/B testing their emails. It's free to do. Let's figure out what your people want. Like, let's test send times for the next month. If you can figure out what the best send time is or the best subject lines are, A/B testing is super powerful. Or even testing content, testing 2 emails, one with a red button and one with a blue button, and seeing if people click more on the red button. It's fascinating. It's so fascinating. So A/B testing is one. And I think, automations are another. Like, why aren't you automating? There are so many ways you could automate your email, automate your business. why aren't we doing this? Why don't you have a 10 email welcome series set up so that you don't have to email people for 2 months once they join? There are just so many cool ways that you can make your marketing so much easier.
Yeah, and it's weird that those features, they're so readily available, but no one does it. And I don't know if it's laziness or maybe they feel like, what's the point? But you're right. Like, it doesn't hurt. And if you take advantage, there's huge gains that can be got.
Yeah, and I think most people, they don't know how to use them, or they're just like, oh, I don't know what that is, so I don't need to use that. If I saw the word A/B testing or multivariate testing, and I was new to marketing, why would I go there?
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from it with a 6-foot pole.
Yeah, totally.
So you work remotely with your sister. And,
Yeah.
I've seen family businesses. So how did the let's start a business together conversation first happen? Who initiated it?
So I'm outside of Chicago and she's based out in Lake Tahoe in California. I had been a virtual assistant for all these years and I started an email agency. And then I think, she had been working from home for a while. And I think I had asked her to help me on something. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so great. And then she helped me some more and some more. And I'm like, we could do this together. We could really do this. And so she was all in because she was like, oh, this is good money. And I've been at home for several years. And what's really cool is that Elizabeth, she worked in Seattle for like 15 years during the whole like .com boom. And she has a background in IT. So she's like the super technical, literally can do anything. Like she used to build websites, whereas I'm like the more creative one. And so it just was this natural, amazing, like it just worked so well. We have been able to make it work, and we just sit on Slack most of the days chatting. And she does not like to be seen. She's like we're opposites. She's very introverted, and so she's okay being like, I just want to sit here and make emails, and you can do all the talking. Like so, it just works. And so I'm grateful, super grateful for that.
You sound very blessed, right? Because it's your sister. So it's kind of like your friend, but then you're able to work together. It's so lovely.
Having a person that you can, that is reliable and that you can trust. It's priceless. Like, I'm like, you can never leave Elizabeth because it's just so nice because I know the work's going to get done. I know it's going to be good. I never have to worry about her showing up. Like it's pretty amazing.
So earlier in our conversation, you spoke about the difficult transition back to work after having a baby. And I know you've written about it as well. What do you wish you would have known then? And is there anything that you would tell a new mom or dad or about to be mom to prepare for that transition?
Yeah, it is. It's just so hard. And I was very lucky in New York that I got 3 months paid 3 months leave, which I thought was just a dream. And so that 3 months, I was like, this is amazing. But the whole 3 months, I was dreading going back to work because now you have this little baby and, you're obsessed with your new child. And then one day you just have to leave and go work for 10 hours a day in an office and leave your 3-month-old baby with someone. It felt so unnatural to me. It was just really difficult. And my company even let me kind of slowly phase back in. Like I was working from home on Fridays, and then eventually I went back on Fridays. So that was incredible. But what I would say is to speak with your manager or your boss about it. I actually sat down with my manager. I said, I'm having a really hard time. Like, can I phase back in slowly? And can I leave? Is it okay that I have to leave at 5 on the dot? Like I felt guilty because you know how people stay in the office just to show you're staying till 5:30. I had to leave at 5:01 or 5 o'clock to get back to let the babysitter go home, so I didn't have to pay for another hour. To really speak to your manager and say, hey, like I'm struggling here. I'm happy to be back, but like, can you help me do this? Can you help me do that? And then eventually I went to my manager and said, I asked to work remotely, which was so scary. But I was like, hey, it's, what's the worst that can happen? They can say no. So I went to them. I actually made a written up like plan of how it would benefit them for me to work remotely. Like I would be happier. I would probably produce quicker work. Like you wouldn't have any overhead of me being in the office, like providing lunch or whatever it is. So I went to them with this written plan. I think the most nervous I've ever been in my life. And they said yes. They said yes. And so with the caveat of that, I would have probably like 6 months to do that. And then they may have to phase out my role. I was like, okay. And that 6 months actually turned to 9 months, which was great. And during that 9 months is when I built my business. So if you are miserable and unhappy, just know that there is a solution. You are never stuck. You are never stuck in your job. There is always a way out. There is always, a way you can work from home if you want. And you have to take that risk of like asking for it.
Do you think that in the world of 2023, if you had the baby and remote work was a possibility right away and it was encouraged, do you think your path would have been different? Like you would have stayed?
Probably, honestly. I just wanted to work from home. Like that's all it was about for me. I wanted to find a way to make money from my house so I could be around my child. And what's funny is it's so hard with children now that many days now I'm like, man, if I could be in an office, man, if I could just like, maybe I should get my own office out of here. There are many days when I'm like, this is not glamorous at all, as you probably know. But yeah, no, I just wanted to be at home. And and it was so like not an option back in 2015. Like no one in my company worked from home at all.
It's so crazy to think about it.
Yeah, it is. And this is how it should be. Or it should at least be flexible. Like if you need a day or two at home, then you should be able to.
Yeah. I mean, I've been seeing so many more posts on LinkedIn about people who are so strict about only having people in the office, how they're losing out on so much talent. Because it's just it's just be so fascinating to watch what happens in the next couple of years.
Totally.
It's really going to be like this pull and push.
It's really interesting. And even seeing like my husband's job, how it changed since COVID. He worked from home like all through COVID and now he works from home on Fridays. And it's just interesting how companies have changed.
So Emily, it's time for our lightning round. I would
Yay!
love to. I know that you are an avid traveler. So would love to know the top 3 or 5 fun trips that you would recommend.
Driving across the US was one of my favorite. You would think it would be like going somewhere exotic, but that was the coolest trip. It was like a 3-week trip and we drove like down through the Texas route, Route 66. If you have never driven across the US, do it because it is so amazing to see the landscape change, like from Texas to Colorado to Utah. That was my favorite trip. Iceland was one of my favorites. We did like a stopover there on the way to Europe once. And oh my gosh, first of all, it's pretty easy to get to if you're on the East Coast. It was just gorgeous. Like the way the sun hits there, I feel like is just different. It is really beautiful. And then where else is my favorite? My husband and I, we love the Bahamas. So we got married in the Bahamas, but we've been to a lot of the outer islands of the Bahamas. So the Exumas, it's one of my favorite places. It is the most beautiful place. And it's a 30-minute flight from Miami. So it's like it feels like you're going to like Bora Bora, but it's like off Florida. The Exumas and all those outer islands are awesome.
Yeah, it's funny because I recently had a conversation, I think it was with my mom, about like, hey, for my 40th birthday, I really want to go to the Maldives or Maldives. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. But it's like, why do you need to do that? There's actually a lot of really nice places in the Bahamas.
Yeah, no, well, that's on my list. So I get it. You should do it. Make it happen.
Yeah, we're working on it. So Emily, before we wrap up, what are you currently working on? What's your next big project?
I'm always looking to find ways to create a product or something that is not client work, which has been really challenging for me. I don't have a course, because I have a trouble finding the time when I'm not doing client work to build these other things. My dream, and I actually haven't told anyone this, so you get the news first, but I am trying to build a MailChimp membership community for MailChimp users that will consist of having office hours with me like twice a week, because I get a lot of emails of people that send me like just a random, hey, quick question, usually a tech support based type question. With a membership, you'll get, tons of resources, videos, but you'll also get, come with me, pop in anytime, ask your questions. It's much cheaper than booking a strategy session with me. And I'm yours, like, throughout the month. So I'm working on building this membership, which I'm so excited about. 'Cause, a course felt really daunting to me, but this feels a lot easier for me to build.
I think both of those course or membership community are amazingly natural fits for you. So I'm really excited and can't wait to see that come out. So where can listeners learn more about you and your business?
I think one of the first places is Instagram, which I'm on almost every day. And I'm Emily Ryan Likes, like likes your photo, Emily Ryan Likes on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter, Emily Ryan Tweets. You can learn a lot about me by my email, which comes out every Sunday, emilyemails.com/get. My business is Westfield Creative, our email agency, and our website's Westfield-Creative.
Wonderful. Well, Emily, thank you so much for being a guest on the Digital Marketing Mentor. And thank you,
Yes.
listeners, for tuning into the Digital Marketing Mentor. We'll speak with you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Digital Marketing Mentor podcast. Be sure to check us out online at thedmmentor.com and at the DM Mentor on Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts for more marketing mentor magic. See you next time.